Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the state of the Dodgers as I see them. I got a lot to pack into one video, so let's get started quickly. First off, I want to talk about the overall look of the Dodgers 1 week into the season, at least 2 series into the season. We've got the Jeckyl and Hyde Dodgers. For 2 games, they dominated the Giants and just beat up on them. And then they reverted to a team that can't score, a team that takes forever to score, and a team that is struggling to win. They won yesterday and it took them something like 14 innings to do it. They won in grand, exciting fashion, but they're stretching out very low scoring games and not knocking in runs like the killer lineup that we expected when they looked good on paper before the season opened. Now, one thing that is their saving grace that has really kept them in the season is their bullpen. They are lights out. Something like 14 or 15 and a half games scoreless innings. So the bullpen is coming up nails and keeping them in the games. That is the optimistic part of the story. Otherwise, the big Dodger bats are struggling. Mookie Wilson not really getting a lot of wood on the bat. A couple of hits here and there. Max Muncy being shoved into the lineup as an opening, as a first batter, leadoff batter. Craziness from Dave Roberts. Muncy should be batting lower in the lineup. Ballinger still hasn't got started. Kike had a grand opening day and is sputtering at the plate as well. So we'll see if they can start to get their offense together. The good news is, once again, that bullpen holding up, and they are, sweating out wins. So that on the good side. Okay, story number 2. The Dodgers, before the season, I mentioned that the Dodgers weren't really going to go out and hit anybody on the Astros. The Dodgers were not going to look for revenge, and I didn't expect it to come. And it was actually starting to play out. If you recall the first game against the Astros, Walker Buehler came out and went 4 straight innings without any of us thinking that he was coming close to any kind of retaliation against the Astros. Now, why did I say that none of that was going to happen? Joe Kelly eventually did, yes, and we'll get around to Kelly. But here's the thing. The Dodgers, and especially in a season that looked like it should have been, looked like maybe it was going to be cut short because the Marlins had thrown a huge monkey wrench into things with their coronavirus spread. It looked like possibly the season might not go the whole way. If there's anything the Dodgers should have done was come right out and first starting pitcher, if not hit the very first batter, hit the first largely recognizable cheating Astro from 2017. To set a tone, to send a message, and to say, look, MLB let you off the hook, but we, the Dodgers, are not letting you off the hook. But Dave Roberts is that kind of manager. He lets other teams off the hook. For 2 years, other teams were hitting Justin Turner regularly. They even broke his wrist or broke his hand or something. No retaliation from Roberts. They were regularly throwing at Justin Turner when he was the big bat in the lineup. No retaliation from Roberts. Then Max Muncy came up and other teams started hitting Muncy. No retaliation from the Dodgers. Word was out that you could hit the boys in blue and they're not coming back after you. And that's what was happening when Buehler hit the mound. We were seeing punk Roberts, and I hate to say it for all the talk about, big cocky, big ego, big man Buehler. Also, he punked out and didn't hit any Astros. Now, Joe Kelly came around and hit somebody, but when did that happen? Kelly was in trouble. Kelly was wild. Kelly was at 3-0 and was about to put his man on base. And that's when he decided, what the hell, if I'm going to give up a free base, I may as well hit the guy. And that's when everything went off the rails. So story number 2 was the Dodgers were punks at not getting revenge. And listen, I'll finish out that with this. They played 14 innings yesterday. Nothing closely resembling any kind of further retaliation against the Astros. They still didn't do a darn thing to keep the Astros on notice that you owe us, and this isn't over, and it won't be over for a long time. Now let's get to Cali. Cali was at 3-0 and hit an Astro, and then we know that story there. All things broke loose. But here is the real story. Joe Cali ended up with an 8-game suspension, which in a shortened season really works out to something like 22 to 24 games. That's a huge chunk of a 60-game season. That's his punishment. Dave Roberts suspended for a game. Manager thrown out. Why? What did they do? Cali, how many guys did he hit? Roberts, how many guys did he order to be hit? Roberts, how much did he instigate his guys to fight? How about the Astros on the other side? Dusty Baker, instigating a fight, all right? Cursing and instigating against Joe Cali in the game yesterday, telling him to hurry and get on the mound MFer, or day before yesterday, rather. Astros jumping the rail of their dugout and coming over to the Dodgers side. Again, instigating violence, instigating the possibility of a fight. What happened to them? Nada. Yeah, there was a $1 fine for Baker, so that happened. But who really got slapped with really hard punishments? The Dodgers. Joe Cali over-punished. And look, there is some truth to the matter that if MLB and Rob Manfred had done some kind of meaningful punishment to the Astros, ball players wouldn't feel the need to take out some justice on their own. A reminder, the Astros players suffered no direct consequences. Their organization, hey, a fine. Did any Astros players pay a fine? No. Loss of draft picks. Astros players, does that directly affect them? If you ask me, it even benefits them because less young bucks coming up, pushing up through the season and pushing up young bucks to take their jobs. So therefore, their jobs are even more secure because no draft picks pushing up through the farm system. So they directly benefited from that cheating. They directly benefited from the rings, from the title, from the money, the endorsements, contracts. And here's the other half of the equation. They directly hurt other teams and other players' careers. They affected Kershaw's career. They affected Kenley for a year and a half. Kenley wasn't even right after 2017. Kershaw had to endure more of the post-game demons that were laid at his doorstep, and he had nothing to do with it because they cheated on him. Other teams, guys trying to make teams, were kicked off of teams because the Astros cheated and made those pitchers look bad. Playoff guys in the American League, they looked bad because they were cheated upon. Guys had their careers directly affected, career numbers affected, possible contract money, livelihood affected, direct consequences against other teams. And there were no direct consequences against the Astros. When we got to the big scrum bum with the Astros and the Dodgers and Joe Cali, no direct consequences to the Astro players once again. That's why I say the Dodgers should have come out and plunking an Astro the next day to let them know what's what. But the final ending of that all comes back upon Rob Manfred. No consequences in the World Series 2017 scandal for the players. No consequences for the players in the Astros scramble the day before yesterday. Only consequences against the Dodgers and free rides for the Astros. Over punishment for Joe Cali. Thus, Rob Manfred Story number 3, Rob Manfred is a jackass. He's hurting baseball and he's no good for baseball. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's my take on my top 3 stories of the Dodgers week. See you again next time. Thanks for watching. Peace. Except for the Astros.